If you run a seasonal business and you're staring down a cash flow crisis right now, this is your wake-up call, because the decisions you make in the next few weeks could be the difference between riding this out or losing it all. I've just come off the phone with a business owner who's in exactly this position. A solid seasonal business, but he's took 2 COVID loans, one with Funding Circle and one with the Development Bank of Wales. There's no personal guarantees, but cash flow is incredibly tight because of the quiet season, and now the repayments are killing him. The advice he's been given already: just put the company into administration. And let me tell you, if he'd have followed that advice, it would have been catastrophic and triggered a chain of reaction, would have destroyed his other business, dragging him into a legal battle and wiping him out completely. In this video, I am going to break down exactly what we told him and what you need to know if you're in the same boat. If your business has quiet months and cash flows tight, don't make decisions that you're later going to regret. Watch the video before you speak to lenders, before you speak to insolvency firms. It could save your business and save your future.
Right, so I'd like to run a few jobs by you in real time so you understand what I'm dealing with every day. So I've just had an inquiry. This guy has a fairly strong business. It's been going for years and years. But his problems are at the moment, he has a loan from the Development Bank of Wales that he took during COVID. He also has a loan with Funding Circle that was a C-bills took during COVID. Now, his issues at the moment are, it's a seasonal business and revenues have dropped a little bit. Now, he owes about 100,000 on one loan and 150,000 on the other loan. Now, the good news for this chap is that both loans have no personal guarantees. They're not secured. The loan from the Development Bank of Wales has a debenture against the company. Now, the problem is the cost to service these debts are quite high. So he's paying over £10,000 a month to service those debts and to keep up with his asset finance. Now, the problems that he's faced is it's a seasonal business and he's hitting a period of time where he's going to have about 3 months where revenues are going to drop a little bit. Now, on paper, his profit and loss shows that he's making money, but his cash flow is really tight. So although he's making money on the P&L, he's not got a lot of money in the business from month to month. Now, the challenge that this guy had is last year he saw an opportunity and his business lent a connected company a couple of £100,000 to take advantage of this opportunity. Now, that opportunity will be profitable, but that money is tied up for a period of 12 months before it can come back in. So when we looked at that, I said, listen, sir, obviously an insolvency would be a huge problem, because although you are struggling to pay your debts on time, what will happen is if you put this through a process, whether it's an administration or a liquidation, then any insolvency practitioner will be duty bound to then chase the property company and ask for the money to be paid back from the property company into the limited company that's having some cash flow difficulties. And if the money wasn't available to be repaid, the insolvency practitioner would take legal action against the property company. So the suggestions that I've made to this guy are, obviously, is there anything that you can do to increase revenues? And he sort of smiled and he said, I have been trying to increase revenues, Chris. But then we dug into it and go, right, well, you're going through a very short-term cash flow problem. Is there anything that we can do with your asset finance to sweat some of the money out of the assets and bring it into the business? Or can you look at all your asset finance agreements and go out to the market and see if there's any better deals for him? Because so many people are stuck in finance deals and they never look at it. They never look at the factoring. They never look at the agreements, because it might be better for your business to refinance and go somewhere else. So he's going to have a look at that. What I've also suggested over the next few months is to speak to Funding Circle and the Development Bank of Wales and ask for some payment holidays or to get the loans over a longer period of time. Now, it's important if you're going to do this is if you just phone up Funding Circle, you're going to speak to someone. It's like computer says no, right? I don't think picking the phone up is the right idea here. What I've asked him to do is to actually focus on how long extra does he need. That's the key thing here, is what type of payment breaks does he need and how long would he like to restructure the loan over? And if you can compile that in an email and back it up with some cash flow projections, it will bypass the person on the phone and hopefully go to somebody who can make these types of decisions. Now, there's a bit of a word of warning I had to give him as well. If any of those lenders say, well, what we'll do is we'd prefer just to refinance you, be careful, because they might come back to him and ask for him to sign new loan agreements. And remember, none of the loan agreements that he'd taken previously had any personal guarantees. So hopefully, he definitely will be able to negotiate some payment breaks. Obviously, that's going to increase the interest that he pays over time, but it's going to solve this short-term cash flow problem, hopefully. Now, also, I've asked go through your profit and loss, look at line by line. Are there any cost-saving measures that you can make? Are you paying for anything that you don't use? Is there anything you can go back and negotiate a better deal? And listen, it might seem like you only save £100 here or £50 there, but over the course of a month and a year, it makes a big difference. I've also suggested that potentially he goes to his suppliers. This guy is always paid on the nose every time something gets invoiced. He pays it straight away. I've suggested that he goes back and tries to negotiate some better terms with the suppliers just over this quiet period. He's got like 12 months of perhaps ducking and diving and robbing Peter to pay Paul, but there's a really solid business underneath. And when that money comes back from the property investment that he's made, things will get back on a firm footing. So it just goes to show this guy has come off the phone and he's got some ideas. He's got some hope. He had spoken to somebody else who was sort of talking about an administration, but the problem with any insolvency process for this guy is it would have caused huge issues in this property company. And the reality is, although he's struggling to pay his debts as they fall due right now, the reality, so he's insolvent on a cash flow basis. On a balance sheet basis, he isn't, because once that money comes back in from the investment that he's made, he's then solvent again. And this is a seasonal business. So he's got 3 quieter months and then things will pick up. So I think obviously the key message here is if you are going through some challenges, if you don't know where to turn, please pick the phone up. Chris Worden, director first. We offer free and independent advice. Thank you.